Ready? You're a wolf chasing a rabbit, but the chase has just begun. You can run to the horizon, but you'll never catch the sun. Rabbit ran into the lion's den, and now the wolf is done. Now you're looking for your gun, and she said, run. Run, run. Table turning, now we see that you're the one. It ain't no fun. Run, 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 run. It ain't no fun. You can run to the horizon, but you'll never catch the sun. Rabbit ran into the lion's den, and now the wolf is done. When the rabbit's got the gun. I told you.
What up? Mike here. I am your host, illustrator, author, creator of all things Rabbit Comics. I am joined here by my beautiful co-host, La. What's up, La?
Hi.
And this is episode 5 of the Department Files. Can you believe we're already on episode 5?
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The Department Files, if you're not familiar, it's a book, but it's also this podcast. And so what we do is we talk about a character from the book in each episode. La will ask me questions about that character, and we just kind of discuss their lore, their history, their backstory, that sort of thing. If you want to follow along, you can. The book is available on Amazon, and it's also going to be available in stores next week.
Yay!
October 1st. Or in a store, I should say, in Phoenix, if you're in the Phoenix area. But
it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited. It's going to be there for a whole year. I got a whole year contract.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. So I'll have more information about that at a later date. But also, I did want to mention, I forgot about this. Tomorrow is National Comic Book Day. September 25th is National Comic Book Day. So even if this episode doesn't air, September 25th is National Comic Book Day. And so, yeah, what better way to celebrate than to pick up a brand new comic book and get into the lore and the history of a brand new story.
Yes.
We got a really good episode for you today. We're really excited. And so, yeah, let's get started.
All right.
Hid my dreams to ease the pain, hoping love would remain. In trying to save what we had, I let go of what made me glad. Wrong sacrifices, heart undone. A love once bright came undone. But from the ashes that came from the hurt, I now see a chance to grow, to be set free. With lessons learned and strength inside, a brighter path will be my guide. I found a voice inside that I left behind. I reclaimed a peace within my mind. To love is to give, and I must keep. Now I walk with an open heart, ready for a brand new start. Knowing love's a two-way street where respect and kindness are valued. I would love to meet.
All right. So today, the character that we are going to be talking about
is I'm trying to figure out.
is Red Moth.
Red Moth. Good choice. Good choice.
Yes.
Red Moth.
All
All
right.
right. What you want to know?
Tell me what your favorite power that Red Moth has.
What's my favorite?
Or you could give us a brief intro on who he is first, and then tell us your favorite power that he has, because he has a few.
Okay. So a brief intro. So Red Moth is he is I think it's an antagonist in the story, but he's kind of like a middle ground character sometimes. So think like Mystique, or like maybe like Loki, like somebody that's like not always bad, but is more often bad than good.
Right.
He does a lot of things for himself, so he has this kind of like, self-serving personality, which kind of like falls in line with his abilities because he has self-serving abilities. So he's really old. He's much older than he appears to be. I haven't figured out exactly how old I want him to be, like in the story, but he's definitely older than like 100. You know what I mean? And that's because of his abilities and what he can do with them. So one of his abilities, well, let me back up. His main ability is that he releases these pheromones. I call it pheromonal influence, and he has this ability to um, disperse these pheromones at will and at a target or just kind of willy nilly. And he can control aspects of another person or take total control of them, like 100%. It's almost like a parasitic mind control. So the
Mm-hmm.
way that it works in the world of Rabbit is that his pheromones attach to olfactory nerves in his target, right? And then that person, you can't technically smell them, but your body can detect them and smell them, and then they take over. And so then you automatically start to see and hear whatever he wants you to see and hear. So like auditory hallucinations, visual hallucination, and and then from there he can just kind of manipulate and make you do and say whatever he wants. He also can sort of he can't he doesn't control someone in the sense that they like now I can manipulate you and make you get up and walk across the room, but he can control a scenario in your mind's eye that then encourages you to get up and do what he wants you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
So I think that that's a really, and again, like I said in an earlier episode, I'm trying to find ways to like come up with new abilities and new power sets.
I think you do a good job at it because to me that was like a mix of how you said Mystique and then Scarlet Witch
mm,
because she does that manipulation, but hers was using energy. So
mm,
you see in a lot of comics that they're using energy manipulation or telekinesis, but
mm.
you bring definitely you can tell that you're doing a lot to create new abilities, and I think that's cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I try my best. It's hard because there's a lot of comic book characters out there
Hmm.
from a lot of different uh properties, but yeah, so it's hard to come up with like something that's like totally original. So sometimes I have to like compound. So that's why like pheromonal influence, that's like an ability that he has. I'm sure there's some other character somewhere that I don't even know that probably has an ability like that, but he can also kind of like manipulate large crowds with this ability, and also his ability can be duplicated in the host of another. So um he could take control of you, and then while you're under his influence, he could basically like then now you could like take control of the person sitting next to you.
So it's like a
It just kind of
exchange.
like it bounces from person to person,
Mm.
but the person
So it's like
the
if Loki and Scarlet Witch had a baby.
I guess, yeah, but the thing is that he's still in total control. So though it's bouncing off of you, he's just using it. You're like a satellite for him, or
Hmm.
like a cell phone tower or something. He's just bouncing the signal off to you because maybe you're closer to this person across the street than he is to that person. And so instead of dispersing his pheromones from here to across the street, if you're closer, he can just disperse them from you to that character, and then now he has control over both of you. So
Gotcha.
that's a really cool, sort of interesting thing that I've been playing with, and like trying to figure out like how far he can go with that, and what he can actually do with that. You're a nigel. Is that a word? You're original. Look at me. I was trying to say original and initial, and then I messed it up twice.
Both words.
Both. What I was trying to say is your initial question was, what is my favorite of his abilities?
Hmm.
And I think that my favorite of his abilities is he can use his pheromones to enhance the performance of another person. What do I mean by that?
It's a good offensive power.
So if he is if he takes control of someone who does not happen to be a superpowered being, and he is now influencing that person to fight with him, fight alongside him, to do whatever, and he needs that person to have increased stamina, increased agility, a keener sense of smell or whatever it is. His pheromones can influence in that person's mind and body, and essentially make them believe that they have this ability to the point that they actually do.
Mm-hmm.
So Baloo and Sophia, which
Mm-hmm.
I call them Baloo and Bagheera from the Jungle Book because I also love the Jungle Book.
Mm-hmm.
So Baloo and Bagheera are two characters that work with him. They're actually in a. This is weird. I don't know why I came up with this. They're in like a throuple. they're like a polyamorous couple. Because I just thought, like, I mean, it's just weird and whatnot. So, so they're in like this weird throuple, and it began with like him taking over their minds, and then eventually he released their hold, but they maintained their adoration towards him. Oh, because what I didn't mention, an aspect of his power is that it's easier to influence someone for him if that person is into him or loves him or has some sort of. So what he typically does first is
which makes sense because
he makes the other person believe that they are falling in love with him or that they're developing a crush on him, and then in the mind's eye, he like he forces like years to go by, but it's just in your head,
So like
and it's like he's like building up this like connection of like, wow, like, we spent 20 years together and like this man loves me, and but really it's all just like in the blink of an eye. But in the person, in the host, I guess, in the host body, they are experiencing what they would perceive to be love, and then it makes it easier for them to like follow him or not. He can. They're just easier to control and manipulate because they're willing. They're willing. Yeah, exactly. There are long term effects of that. So the long term effects of that, one of which, so what I did was in this book, and if you pick it up from Amazon or it's very soon in Phoenix, you'll read that so what happens is one of two things happen. You either, I guess, one of three things. You either he releases the hold and you're just kind of like, that was weird, and you're going about your day. He releases the hold and you're like terrified of him. You've developed this like intense fear, because what I didn't mention is that while the host is being controlled, they're in their own mind too. They're not like unconscious or sleep. Like, they're aware of everything that's happening. They just can't fight against it because of the hold. And so, yeah, there's a gnat in here. Sorry, we're in my what I call my green room, my plant room. You can jump, it's fine. It's not a roach. She was trying not to jump. Like, what's that? It's just a gnat. What I was trying to say is that um, there's one of three reactions that you have when he releases you. You're either apathetic, or you're terrified of him, or you fall in love with him, right? Like that, like genuinely, or at least genuinely believe that you do. And that's what happened in the case of Bagheera and Baloo, and that's why they kind of follow him. So they're
term then,
kind of,
like
so
the longer that they're under.
Ish, yeah. He keeps a spell, but even like there's people that like are long term and they're terrified of him. It really is just more about what's happening internally for the host, right? And so like you as a host, like if you genuinely start to find redeemable qualities or traits, or maybe you're aligned with his, whatever it is he's trying to accomplish, and it's just like these two people just happen to fall in love with them, and so
sound like my sister.
You said sound like your sister. What? How? You gotta explain that.
Like few marriages, few relationships.
Okay.
You can fall in love with every single
one. You can say less now. You can say less. So that would be one of my favorite things about him, is the fact that he can enhance another's natural abilities that they, would otherwise maybe take, longer to evolve on their own, or get, train up. Like, you're not necessarily able to just like pick up things that are heavier than you unless you train, but he can manipulate your, I don't know, your cells, your neurons in such a way that you would then be able to do the thing, despite not having experienced it before. So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. In the same way that he can make you see something that's not there, he can also make you not see something that is there, right? So then now he can essentially, for all intents and purposes, be invisible. He could be standing right next to you, you wouldn't know it, because he's now made it so that you don't see him, even though you're there and you should be able to see him, but his influence is affecting your vision somehow. So yeah. I don't know. I don't really have an explanation for exactly how he does it, outside of the fact that it has to attach to the olfactory. So if you can't smell, if your sense of smell is messed up, or you have some sort of like, there's some issue with your nose or it's plugged, then usually he can't breach that. But he
get in there.
Yeah.
you already touched on it, but I wanted to know what characters were he was connected to as well. And you said that was
Oh,
Bagheera and
Baloo.
Baloo.
Yeah, so Bagheera and Baloo. Uh, so weirdly, they're in this throuple. I don't know why. It's just something I came up with. I just thought it was a unique. It's not super unique. There's a lot of comic book characters that are in thruples. Honestly, some people would say Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean are in a throuple, but I
Definitely.
digress. Um, but it's just I don't know. It's just I feel like you can tell better stories, and it's just it's just a thing that is. But so Baloo, who is the other male in the thruple, and then Bagheera is a female in the thruple. Baloo is um, he's been with Red Moth longer because Red Moth met him first, and so their dynamic was different. Red Moth was using him for something and took over, and whatever. And then when he released his hold, um, Baloo decided that he wanted to, he agreed with Red Moth's take on the world and just his worldview and just kind of like how he just wanted to. I don't know. Baloo is just a big bad too, and so he just wanted to follow along. So they stayed together. Bagheera, that was, and I don't want to. You can get the book and read exactly how, but with Bagheera, it was hard. She fought it. She fought the influence, and she
Hmm.
fought it for a long enough time that Red Moth became intrigued on like even how she was even able to do that because she's not super powered. She doesn't have outside of like she's her training, but um, he became intrigued because she was able to fight him for so long, and so she did eventually succumb. But once she did, he used her for what he needed her for, released the hold, and then she decided to stick along too, and so she just ultimately fell in love with him, he and Baloo, and now they're just this weird throuple. It also, I mean, I guess really, it also came from the fact that like I really just like Baloo and Bagheera like as names, and I wanted to use
Hmm.
them in my um in my story and in my property. And I think that they're not. I think I know that they are considered. They're up for free game. I forget what the term is called, but they're not.
Trademark.
They're well. They're not. It's like it's up on it. Something happened to where
Mm.
like after a certain amount of years, they just become like free for
Oh, statute of
yeah,
limitations
something like that. I can't
in the
remember what it
film
is,
world.
but well, in post, like when I edit it, I'll put it up like above, like oh, this is the term because I don't know, I can't think of it right now. But anyway, they're that. Those two characters are that, as well as some of the characters from Alice in Wonderland,
Oh,
and
okay.
So anyway, but and so I just thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have a Baloo and a Bagheera? And but like, how would that work? And in the Jungle Book, they do work together to kind of like and it's funny because in the Jungle Book they're fighting against Shere Khan, they're fighting against the antagonist. But in this book they are the antagonists, and they kind
Hmm.
of work with Shere Khan, I guess, if you will. If you look at Red Moth as like that tiger, sort of vicious, mean character, he's very manipulative, and he manipulated them, and he's just really good at manipulation, and so they fell in love, and so that's who he's most connected to. There is also a connection to Rabbit. There's also a connection to um, um, Anyanwu. There's connections to the department. Like Red Moth is really he's really like a Mystique type of like he just gets in and gets out, and he's
Hmm.
like a super spy, and he's really good with weapons, and his pheromones. They are released not just from like his hands, but like all of his body. So sometimes you'll see him in like in the book he has on like this it's a jacket, but it's just like open, no shirt underneath, because the more skin is exposed, the more chance that he can release more pheromones, and
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just a
I like it though.
yeah.
It makes for interesting reading for sure
Hmm.
to have.
Well, he's a psycho too, by the way. So in this book, in Along Comes a Moth, that's where he is introduced, and what he does in this book is just it's just crazy. And so he's definitely not. He doesn't. All the screws are not there, but again, like the rest of the villains or antagonistic characters in my universe, he doesn't necessarily see himself as a bad guy. He kind of sees himself as more of like a survivor because he's so old too. By the way, again. So it's like he's seen the world in different iterations of the world, and he's not seduced by man anymore. He's not seduced by this illusion of like democracy or bureaucracy or
Just
like
self-serving,
it's
like
just
you
like
said.
self-serving and just survival. Yeah.
And
So
then
does that answer the question?
it does.
Okay. Like I feel like I went like all over the place.
And just explain where his name come from, because Red Moth, I don't think I've ever heard a name like that before.
Red Moth. So I wanted a name. So I wanted a name that didn't sound. I just wanted a cool sounding name. Honestly, that's number one. But then I wanted something that was like gave like a slight nod to his abilities. And so I read up on characters that could like not characters, actual animals
Hmm.
and insects that have the ability to sort of release pheromones or do like I mean I guess we all release pheromones, but like the ability to kind of like to some degree do what he does.
Hmm.
Maybe not obviously to the extent, but like just like and the Io moth um popped up. And I think the Io moth it really was just more about I mean, it's red. It's a red moth, and it has like these bright, not bright, these dark spots, these big dark spots on its wings, and I don't know. It just was a cool. It was just a cool.
Is that the same moth that's on the book?
I tried to draw the Io moth, but it doesn't. I mean,
Either way, it still got the good
it
look
does.
for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like a take on an Io moth, I guess. Yeah,
And then he does use weapons. I see him with a pistol, but
yeah, 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 yeah. It's like yeah, they use weapons, but they really don't rely on them as much as like I guess like you or I would.
hmm
But for the humans in my universe, for the folks that don't have abilities, they're effective, right? Like if you're just running through like a team of goons, you don't necessarily need to.
exert all your energy and use your
Yeah, like
powers.
for what? Like why am I throwing a whirlwind at you when I can
Right.
just pop you and that's it. Also, a lot of them work for the department. The department is a network of spies and mercenaries. That's what they use. That's what
Hmm.
if you're a mercenary, if you're an assassin, and you're trying to be undercover, you're not going to always use your abilities because then I mean, it just like leads right back to you. Like, who else can throw a lightning bolt? Aurora Monroe. So that must have been her that killed that guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
it's just kind of, it's just a way to like nod to some of their backgrounds and spy work and mercenary work and assassin work where it's like, okay, yeah, like they have these abilities and they can still do hand to hand combat and they still sometimes use very tactical um, weapons when they need to, but he
Hmm.
doesn't use them a lot. But he does have twin axes that he likes. A lot of Red Moth's weapons are very old
Mm.
because he's so old.
Yeah.
So he has the twin axes from
Stockpile.
a different era, and he has and he kind of hides them in different places in Along Came a Moth. In that book, this book here, he there's a there's a panel where we see him in an environment where he's left something in a museum and the museum has mislabeled it because they don't know what it is and they think it's it's so old and you know what I mean. What? What happened? What I do?
I've never heard you say museum before.
I say it funny? Wait, how do I say it? That's crazy. You know what's funny?
Very elegant though.
It's elegant.
The way you
Museum.
say it. Yeah, it's your accent.
How do you
I don't know a lot of people
how
from
do you say
Pittsburgh. So museum.
it?
I'm sorry, Pittsburgh. I didn't know. I had never heard nobody say this like that. I'm crying.
Museum? You say museum? Museum?
Museum.
I don't know.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's so funny. This has nothing to do with anything, but some people say that about the way I say cookie too. See, there it is. What is it with if you're from Pittsburgh? Do people tell you that you say cookie funny when you go to different places? What is so funny? So many people tell me that. I'm
I
like,
love it. Yeah, you're the first. I think you're the first person I've ever met from Pittsburgh before. So there's been some words that you said before that I was like, what?
That's hilarious to me. I'm like, what's so funny? Anyway, I'm trying to say like you at the museum.
No, say it like you. It sounds better coming out your mouth.
Anyway, yeah. So, but the now it's in my mind, so I'm gonna I don't know. But anyway, so the museum is they've mislabeled something. I don't want to give it away if you haven't read the book, but they mislabeled something, and he's using it. And another character, it's Anansi who he meets in this museum, and she even makes reference to it, like, oh, you have this, and he's like, oh, they miss. That's not even what this is. This is actually mine, and I just let them keep it here because it's easier for me than trying to hide it. It's right here in the open, and they think it's something else. So yeah, so I don't know. It's really cool. He's and that there's also I just think that that's cool too because there's a level like I can play around with that a lot because he's so old. I can go through like different ages and like and just kind of play with like what did the world look like at this point, and who did he interact with and how did he use his abilities back then because it would have been different and before guns even existed, like what did he do, you know what I mean? So anyway,
Well, that's all I had really for
that's all you
this
got.
one. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, that was really cool. I Red Moth is one of my favorites. Let me ask you, what do you find um m- most interesting about Red Moth?
The coloration that you use.
Oh,
There's
really?
like red facial,
Mm.
red body, red
Uh-huh.
hair, red
Like everything's
facial,
red.
everything's
Mm-hmm.
red,
Yeah.
which is hard to do, especially in comics, to find those different shades
Mm-hmm.
that you can do one solid color like that. But
Yeah.
I like the way you did it and just the whole aesthetic of him.
Yeah, and I didn't mention. I'm actually glad you said that because the reason why he's red is also a side effect of his ability. So his skin is like a red ochre color because the pheromones that he gives off, and like they're obviously they build up and they're made and stored in his body, and so his cells kind of it's just like a byproduct of this ability that it's turned his skin red. So
Mm,
that's why he's red like that. But
that's dope.
yeah, so yeah, that's Red Moth. Thank you for another show, for another cool episode. And thank you for tuning in. And as always, if you want to follow along with the Department Files, you can check out Amazon.com and just type in Rabbit Comics, and my comic books come up. The Department Files is the book that we read from each episode. And yeah, we appreciate everybody for tuning in, and thank you. And
We'll see you
we'll
next
see you
time.
next time, I guess. Peace.